Hi guys, and welcome to the Skyrim mod showcase where we're going to take a look at Unlocked Grip. Right, so once you've installed the mod, you'll obviously have to come in game and wait for the MCM menu to register it. If you don't like waiting for the MCM menu, or it's taking quite a while for the mod to register, just use the console command, which I've posted in the description below. To open the console, press the tilde key, which is just to the left of the 1 key on your keyboard, that's the top left. Open the console, type in the command, and the MCM menu should register any new mods that have been applied. So you need to go into your MCM menu, scroll down to Unlimited Grip, which is there. There's slightly few more options here than what you're probably seeing now, and that's because you need to first apply the mod. Tick the tick box to apply, come out of the menu, back into game. It'll unequip your current weapon. You'll then be able to re-equip it, come back into the MCM menu and have a host of new options. If you select a hotkey, you get a few more options appear then as well. And I've put the modifier hotkey as N. You can obviously select whatever you want. If you use a controller, you'll obviously have to take up a slot on your controller, or you can switch to keyboard, select a hotkey then and switch the game back into controller mode, and the hotkey will still be able to be accessed via your keyboard. And you can also set up a secondary hotkey if you wish. You can have two alternative hotkeys for switching between weapon grips. So we go back into game now. There are still a few bugs with this mod, and I'll go over how to correct some of those, and also how they occur. So I have a two-handed sword on my back here. Just a slight note, I am using one-handed weapons on the back via the XPMS skeleton, as well as dual sheath redux and equipping overhaul. So you can obviously understand there's quite a few conflicts with my setup. We'll go over this. It's going to equip the two-handed version now. So if I press the N key to switch to the one-handed grip, you see I re-equip the weapon. Obviously the weapon is going to be on my back because that's why I have my one-handed swords. And I'm now swinging a two-handed weapon with one hand. Obviously you can see the speed of the weapon has increased here. But I'm only going to be dealing slightly less damage than I would be if I was wielding in two hands. If I press N again, I can switch back to the two-handed form. And there we have me back in two-handed sword, dealing slightly more damage. And this works also with one-handed weapons as well. So if I go ahead and equip one, let's say I wanted to do this with a steel war axe. That's going to equip down on my side there, where it normally would. So there we go, one-handed. And if I press N, I'm going to then equip it from my back, and I've got a two-handed axe. As you can see, the animation there is for the two-handed weapon, but there is a slight bit of overhang. One hand is not actually touching the axe at all, but I am still using this as a two-handed weapon. So it's going to have slightly more damage, and a slightly slower swing speed than it would be if it was one-handed. And press N again, and it goes back to one-handed. So you can see everything works pretty well on the fly. You can quickly switch between weapons using your hotkey. Also, which is nice about this mod, is if I now put a shield on, you see I've got a shield and an axe equipped. If I go into two-handed mode, I equip the axe into two-handed, and the shield disappears. If I flick back into one-handed, the shield re-equips, and I've got a one-handed axe with a shield, which is quite nice. And it also works if you have magic on as well. So one-handed with magic. So I could be a spell sword or something like that, using magic on the fly. And I quickly want to switch into the two-handed mode. The spell goes away. Just watching out for Yule and Greymane there, didn't really want to hit him with an axe. And I'm in two-handed mode, and I can switch back to one-handed, and I still have my magic applied, which is really quite nice. It's especially effective as well if we are using, say, a two-handed weapon here. It becomes a bit more usable, or a bit more, what's the word? A bit more of a unique feature. So I'm doing two-handed, switch to one-handed, and then I'm using a two-handed weapon with magic also. So that's pretty cool. And this definitely goes very nicely with equipping overhaul, and other such mods like that. It's really quite useful to use. Now I'll go over a few of the bugs. So the first one is you can get invisible weapons, and you can get two models on your character, especially if you're using equipping overhaul. To get around that, you just need to unequip and re-equip the weapon a couple of times, and it usually happens when switching the grip while you've got the weapon sheathed. So I've got this in one-handed mode here. If I switch to two-handed, you see I've got two models on the character now, and it's only going to draw the one weapon. Switch back to one-handed. Does fix it slightly there, but I'm sort of in a mix between a two-handed grip and a one-handed grip there. So it's kind of a bit strange. I'm swinging it with two hands, but I've still got magic in the one hand. So there's a few bugs. I can fix that easily. Unequip, and then re-equip, and two-handed position. Now if I change with the weapon equipped, it will nicely change over to the right grip. So my advice is to, if you're using this mod for now, only switch your grip if you're already got the weapon unsheathed. And the other one is the invisible sword. So if I put this back here, see if I can get it to reproduce the actual effect. Just take magic off as well, just so we're not messing around with two elements here. So I've just switched to one-handed sword, two models on my back. Switch again. It's not going to do it this time for me. But every now and again you'll get an invisible weapon, and the same fix applies where you'll have to unequip the weapon, unsheath the character, and re-equip the weapon, and that'll fix any issues that you have with the mod. Just see what it looks like with the wooden club, which is obviously a mace type weapon. As you can see, it's quick on the side, switch to two-handed, and it draws from my back. There's a very quick and easy way of using a two-handed weapon in one-handed and two-handed modes, and vice versa, especially if you are a very strong character and you feel that your character can wield a two-handed weapon with one hand. This is definitely a mod you should check out, and goes very nicely with other equipping mods. And it's a very, very well thought through mod, and hopefully some of the bugs can be fixed and we won't have to put up with things like that happening.